Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name is Amber, and we are a homeschooling family of two kiddos ages 6 and 11. Today's video is a collaboration hosted by Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way. This is an open collaboration and is just to show that there is no right or wrong way to homeschool. What works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you. Today's video theme is going to be reflections, wins, challenges, and we're going to talk about summer plans. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with reflections. I think the first one that I really just want to take the time to reflect on is that this was our first year homeschooling our daughter. She was technically in kindergarten, and our last year homeschooling our son as an elementary student. Coming fall, he will be in 6th grade, and I just can't believe that in roughly 7 years, he will be a senior and moving on to hopefully bigger and better things. I think as far as Kinsey goes, the thing that I was most proud of is how well she did with All About Reading. I was very nervous to teach someone how to read. Of course, we taught her how to walk and talk and eat and all those things. But for some reason, reading was very intimidating to me. So All About Reading is a great program, and she did very good with it. And I'm very, very proud of the way that she handled it, and she had a lot of fun with it. As far as Keaton goes, he was diagnosed with contamination OCD. So when we first started the school year, it was very rough. He needed to change his clothes multiple times a day, needed to wash his hands multiple times a day. But with some therapy and some new findings, as far as instead of him washing his hands, he uses the Boogie Wipe brand of antibacterial wipes. They have aloe and things in them so that they won't dry him out. Unfortunately, they are not cheap, and we do go through a lot of them. But it is much better than him washing his hands so much that his hands are bleeding. But the thing that I am most proud of is how he's worked through his OCD and has still been able to learn and do his schoolwork. I think the thing that I am proud of the most as far as with myself is taking on the role of homeschool mom, also working mom. I started working 4 days a week at a local pizza place. I actually just started out as a delivery driver and then moved rather quickly into a management position, mostly because I was the only one that was really over the age of 18. But yeah, working 4 days a week, and I usually will go into work about 3:30, so I have to leave our house at 3 in order to get there by 3:30. But working 4 days a week and then being able to homeschool the kids during the day as well. So I'm very proud of being able to keep up with that. There were some days where I was burnt out, and we take a break or we just not do as much. But yeah. I think thinking back on everything that we did over the school year, I really think that my favorite memory would have to be when we took our trip to Pigeon Forge in Tennessee. We went with my grandparents, my mom, my brother, and his fiance, and then the 4 of us. We rented a cabin, and we went to the Titanic Museum, and it really just amazed me at how much the kids really enjoyed it. Kinsey got a little bored with it towards the end, but it took us probably 2.5 hours to get through it. So she did really well for taking that long to get through it. But there was so much information packed in it and actual artifacts from the Titanic, so that was really, really neat. We can't really do a whole lot over the summer because of our fireworks store, so we try to do a fall trip and also try to make it educational so we can count it as a school day. Lastly, on reflections, do I feel like this school year was a success? I do. I really do feel like it was very successful with all of the challenges, and as far as the OCD part goes with Keaton, and financial challenges and me needing to work 4 days a week outside of the home, which I already had been working outside of the home, but typically only 3 days, and then that would leave my grandmother stuck with having to school the kids. So my goal was to be able to work more hours and be able to be the one to homeschool the kids. So we were able to definitely work that out. All of the curriculum was a hit, except for our Charlotte Mason language arts. So we just nixed that and just decided not to do language arts this year. But that's all right, because we will make up for it in 6th grade. I think there are still some learning curves as far as on my end, learning how my kids learn. I put together a science unit for Keaton on space. So we're reading through these books that I purchased about different things, meteors, meteorites, all these things. And he's telling me the names of meteorites of the past and meteorites that are coming in the future. And I'm like, we might be wasting our time here. You might already know more about space than I do. So, definitely need to pay more attention as to how much Keaton already knows, because I don't want him to be bored. So if what I put together or what I purchase needs to be harder, then we're definitely going to go that route. Kenzie, I have found that she's very stubborn, but she's also only 6. Getting her to sit and do the lessons like I wanted her to do was next to impossible. She started out really well in the school year, actually sitting down and doing things with me. But then we got to the point where she would want to play Barbies or something, or play with Legos, and I would need her to read a practice sheet or read her sight words. And so I would just go sit on the floor while she played with Legos, and then every once in a while she would look up and she would read the sight word or read the practice sheet, and we would get through it that way. But yes, definitely a successful school year, and although we're ready for our break, I can't wait for this next fall. Wins. Let's talk about wins. All About Reading was definitely a win. I had actually purchased a different curriculum. I think it was Abeka's Handbook for Reading. I had watched a lot of videos about it, but not being able to actually flip through it and see what I thought would work for us, that made it difficult to decide whether or not, it was right. It was the right decision. We actually have a neighbor that homeschools as well, and they've homeschooled from the very beginning. And she had all about reading. So she let me flip through the one that she had, and that's when I made the decision to switch. And I am very, very glad that I did. Also, hot dots. If you've never heard of a hot dot, get on Amazon, check them out. Kinsey thinks it's a game, which it kind of is. But it's educational and she doesn't even know it. We are definitely going to continue with Matthew C. We just may skip Gamma for Keaton. I think it might be a little bit too easy for him. We are going to try to focus really hard on learning his multiplication facts, but pretty much skip Gamma. There are a few things in there, like I think learning how to do area and things like that. We will do those lessons, but the rest of it, anything that has to do with multiplication, we're going to skip it. Another big win is our schedule or our rhythm. Working outside of the home 4 days a week. Second shift at that. There are times where on the weekends I don't get home until 11 o'clock, sometimes 11:30, depending on how long it takes to get cleaned up and closed up. And then it being late going to bed and getting up late the next day doing schoolwork and trying to get things done around the house. It was tough at first, but it's really working for us. It doesn't exactly work if we need to be up early and somewhere, but we just try not to do early things. One thing I do want to do is add some more sort of extracurricular things. My grandma takes the kids to our local libraries on Thursdays, which really helps to get them out of the house and keeps them busy. And most of the stuff that they do there also is educational, so that's helpful. We did go ahead and sign them up for a couple of classes within our homeschool co-op. We've been part of the co-op for 2 years, but we've not actually utilized their Thursday classes, but we are going to this fall. Keaton is also now officially a Boy Scout, so he will have meetings every Tuesday night, all throughout the summer, and most of the winter, the scout leaders do go to Florida for snowbirds, so there will be a few months that they don't have any meetings, which is fine. That will give us some time to enjoy the holidays and whatnot. So, but I would like to get Keaton into maybe bowling. We have a bowling alley that is local that has a kids bowling league. The only thing is that the practices are on Saturday mornings. I think they start at like 9 or 10 a.m., which my grandma did say that she would take him, but I don't want to put too much on her plate. So we will see about that. Maybe we will find maybe a jiu-jitsu or something that he can do in the evenings. With Kenzie, she really likes to dance and do gymnastics. So one of our local public schools has a Pee-wee dance team. So we're really thinking about trying her in that. A lot of it's going to depend on how much it costs and when the practices are for it. Hopefully not Tuesdays, hopefully like maybe a Thursday, because on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday, I should say, Kinsey will have Girl Scouts. So we don't want to add too much more to our plates, but I feel like the kids need to have more involvement with others, and more so physical involvement. So dance would be something physical for Kinsey, and bowling would be somewhat physical for Keaton, or jujitsu or something along those lines. Right. All right. So challenges. Getting Keaton to do his math without complaining was a challenge. A lot of times he would get very, very upset and yell and carry on and not want to do his math. He is in Math UC Gamma, and it's multiplication, mostly multiplication. And part of me just wonders if it's not too easy for him. So we're definitely going to just focus on learning the multiplication facts. And there are a few lessons within Gamma that we need to touch on. But other than that, I think we're just going to move on to the next Math UC level. A very, very big challenge was Keaton's OCD. It was really, really bad at first, but we've been able to get it to a much more mild case. We still have our challenges, of course, but the biggest one is that he has a computer and a desk and a chair, and that is his safe zone because he knows no one else will touch that area. But when he needs to do schoolwork, say math or anything like that, and he has to touch the paper or touch a pencil, he won't let us put that schoolwork at his computer desk. It has to be at the kitchen table. He won't even sit in the kitchen chair. He stands when he does his schoolwork. He will not touch any part of his body. If he has an itch on his nose, he freaks out. He has to go wash his hands, and then he can itch his nose. So getting him to do his written assignments has been a huge challenge. This year, he will do it. It's just very difficult. So hopefully this summer we can really hit some huge milestones, and this coming school year will be a lot different. If not, we will just continue to do it how we did it this last year and just kind of go with the flow and figure it out as we go. Kinsey's attention was a challenge. Of course, she's only 6, and in preschool they did learn a little bit as far as sitting still and listening. But Mom also wasn't like super harsh about making her sit and listen. We would play with blocks and whatnot to get through the lessons. Even when we were doing math, we'd sit on the floor and she would play with blocks or something, and then every minute or so we would do a math problem. As far as our homeschool space, we have all of our homeschool books and curriculum and whatnot on a bookshelf in our dining room, which has worked. And we pretty much school wherever, out on the front porch, at the dining room table, in the living room, on the floor, just wherever the kids want to school at that day. That's fine with me. But it would be nice to have more of a designated place so that we can go in there and say from this time to this time, this is school. By no means do I want it structured like a public school, but I want my kids to know that when they enter this room, it's time for school. There's no other distractions. There's no toys. There's no TV. There's no computer, unless we need to watch a lesson or a YouTube video. I think it would be helpful in that area, a lot of times Keaton would do one subject and he'd say, okay, can I take a break? Because he wants to go and watch YouTube some more or go and play a video game some more. So I think that if we have a more designated spot to go to, that would be helpful. We are planning on moving hopefully by this coming spring. It just depends on how quickly we can finish the projects in our house. There's a lot of little stuff and then some bigger projects that we need to finish. So hopefully maybe wherever we move to, wherever we build, whatever decision we make, it will allow us to have at least a small area. It doesn't have to be a giant room, just a small area that we can designate without any distractions. All right, let's talk about summer plans. We have absolutely no plans to school over the summer. Probably a few months ago, I was back and forth about schooling at least once or twice a week during the summer. But we have a fireworks store that we put together. This will be our 6th season. We're not selling under anyone like TNT or anything like that. This is our store, and we pick out the product and we pick the prices and all that good stuff. So it takes up the entire month of June and about a week after July 4th, because we're doing inventory and breaking down the store and all that good stuff. So we are just going to plan on enjoying time off for that stretch of the summer. With that being said, we will attempt to swim or go hiking or anything that we can do, probably anything that we can do within a day. I'd really like to go camping, but that would have to be towards the end of July and into August that we would be able to camp. I mean, we could camp. It would just be that we would have to leave the campsite or wherever we're at to go to the fireworks store. And sleep is already few and far between during the store. So I don't know that that's a good idea. And I will also be continuing to work my actual job, my hourly job, I should say, until the week before the 4th. I think I work July 1st, and then everything after that up until the 7th of July, I will be solely focused on the fireworks store with my husband. The kids are going to go on a short trip with my grandmother and my mom and some other family members to St. Louis. They're going to go to the theme park and go swimming and stuff. So I'm grateful that they can at least go with someone over the summer and do something. But we do plan a fall trip, and this year we will be going, I think it's the end of August. I think it's over Labor Day weekend. We will be going up to Minnesota to visit my sister, the one that used to live in Alaska over the summer, and her and her boyfriend are now in Minnesota. He's a chef, so he works for one of the theme parks there, or the theme park there. I don't know a whole lot about it. But we are going to go visit, and then once we are finished there, we are hoping, Lord willing and finances willing, that we can go on up to South Dakota and check out everything there is to see there, and hit some educational spots. All right, guys, that is it for this video. If you want to join, you can go to Rooted in Rest. That is Abby's channel. She typically has a link to join. If you cannot join, she usually has a comment that is pinned to the top of her comment section where you can put the link to your video, and she will put it in the collaboration folder for you. I typically have to do that because I'm doing everything from my cell phone. I will also link the playlist down below in the description box so that you can watch if you don't want to join. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.